From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. The union representing Canada's border agents has delayed its strike deadline for a second time. The Public Service Alliance of Canada now says it has moved its strike deadline to 12:01 a.m. on Friday. Border guards are deemed essential, and the government says they cannot strike. However, they could work to rule and slow the flow of travelers at border crossings and airports. The Liberals support an effort to expand the scope of the foreign interference inquiry to investigate allegations against MPs. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says his party will support a motion from the Bloc Québécois.
I think it's extremely important that we continue to take foreign interference with all the seriousness that it requires, which is why we will be supporting the Bloc Québécois motion to send the report and the concerns raised in it to the Commissioner Hugg's work to make sure that there is a clear process whereby Canadians can have confidence in the integrity of the democracy.
The National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians released its bombshell findings in a report last week, saying some MPs wittingly participated in foreign meddling. A spokesman for Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre still won't indicate where that party sits on proposed changes to capital gains taxation. The Conservatives say they'll study the motion carefully before they determine next steps. The rector of a historic Toronto church destroyed by fire over the weekend says it's heart-wrenching to see what's left. Father Don Bayer says the community has lost more than a place of worship, rites, and holiday celebrations.
Extraordinary artwork was lost. Canadian artwork at its very best. 3 members of the group of 7 had painted murals in the church, and they were stunning.
The Office of the Fire Marshal says it's too early to make any conclusions about the cause of the fire, but police are not treating it as suspicious. Support for the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup Final is sweeping the country, including on Parliament Hill. Some MPs are setting their political differences aside tonight to gather in the Speaker's office, watch the game, and eat popcorn, reviving a long tradition on Parliament Hill. That includes Edmonton MP Heather McPherson.
I think it's an opportunity for us all to remember that we're all people doing a job and working hard, and even if we're not on the same political team, we can be on the same sports team.
The Edmonton Oilers hope to even up the Stanley Cup Final tonight after they lost Game 1. Canada and UK privacy officials have launched a joint investigation into a data breach at 23andMe. Their probe will try to determine the scope of the October 2023 breach at the genetic testing company. They'll also look into whether 23andMe had proper safeguards to protect the highly sensitive information it handles, and whether the company adequately notified regulators and customers. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final goes tonight in Sunrise, Florida. Panthers head coach Paul Maurice says he's being cautious of the Edmonton Oilers.
I mean to be disrespectful to the other 3 rounds that we played, because we're talking about Kucherov and Pastrnak. I mean, brilliant players, but this is a slightly, you said big guns, it's a slightly bigger caliber, more of a Magnum caliber. For all you hunters will appreciate that. Yeah, this is a different caliber. So the idea of shutting down isn't realistic.
The Oilers would like to even up the series before they return home for Game 3 Thursday. In baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays kick off a 3-game series tonight with the Brewers in Milwaukee. And if you've always wanted a Stanley Cup ring of your own, you could buy one from former NHL forward Esa Tikkanen. He's selling 4 of his 5 Stanley Cup rings. He says he's been keeping them in his shaving kit, and his kids don't want them. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.